wedge. To Tetsu, seasonal colors alternate several times. This feeling is still swaying like a flower that never withers. Always missing you. I don't want to lose your smiling eyes. Even on a starless night, I want to surround you like the sunlight shining through the branches and leaves. This is my firm vow that will never change. My love for you lives in every corner of my body. I love you every day as if you are by my side. Narrative poetry. Hey, do you believe in fate? The day after Cairo lost to Siren at the winter tournament in his first year of high school. Sitting in the coffee seat with his chin in his hand and looking out the window, Eamon Daiki didn't know what he thought of. He suddenly turned his head and asked his childhood sweetheart sitting opposite. Ah, what did you say? Facing Momoi Satsuki, who had a horrified expression on his face and immediately leaned over the table to check the temperature of his forehead, Eamon Daiki had several veins. He growled patiently, I didn't have a fever, idiot. He clicked his tongue in displeasure. I know it's not in line with my character to ask this kind of thing. He closed his eyes and calmed down before continuing, but I suddenly thought of it recently. The five of us, Generation of Miracles, meeting as at the same time, is it really a pure coincidence? Although it is impossible for me to know whether it is meaningful or not, some things just give me this feeling. The soft sound of the piano flowed in the coffee shop. Momoi Satsuki quietly held her chin in her hand, looking at her childhood sweetheart with a rare and thoughtful expression on her face. Eamon Daiki's voice was neither too loud nor too soft, as if he was talking to someone or talking to himself. It's like we were on the same team once, but then we became each other's rivals, and now we are all gathered in this competition. Akashi, Murasakibara, Midorima, Kai's, and him. Tetsu. If there really is such a thing called destiny, then will the god of fire appear in front of us? Qingfeng Dahue's voice gradually lowered until it became inaudible. He looked out the window with eyes that didn't know where to focus, and the emotions inside were so dark that it was hard to tell what he was thinking at this time. That is 100% confidence based on the performance of winning every battle. In the field of basketball, he is absolute. He is the strongest. In the last year of the Taiko era, Eamon Daiki's score on the court alone exceeded the total score of the entire team, making opponents frightened. He was the well-deserved trump card of Generation of Miracles. After joining Tong Wang, he still relied on his personal strength to win the team's victory, and he was the unstoppable and strongest scorer on the court. But every time that happens, looking at his opponents who couldn't even resist him head-on on the court, who gave up easily without even struggling, and looking at the frustrated faces, he began to feel disgusted with everything in front of him, and he also hated basketball that couldn't bring him any fun. The disappointment of not being able to find an equal opponent, the anger of hating the opponent when he retreats without a fight? Hey, don't you always say that someone more powerful than Eamon-kun will appear soon? But what's the result? Another big score win. It's not even a warm-up. It's so boring. What? Train? TSK? I don't need that kind of thing. If it becomes stronger, wouldn't it be even more boring than now? If there really is a god of basketball, then give me an opponent worthy of being taken seriously. But, damn it! I'm tired of waiting. But people who are stronger than me are here and exist. Where? Inside? Az is a big liar. Sure enough, there's a stronger opponent than me or something. Doesn't exist. Maybe thinking this way will make you feel better. If you don't look forward to it, you won't have to suffer the huge pain when your hopes are disappointed. However, in the time after that, a year after Az left aside, the man named Kagami Taiga appeared. He is the same existence as the Era of Miracles, but he is not an existence that has become the Era of Miracles. He has the same talents as the Generation of Miracles, the last one to awaken. A miracle that is not a miracle. Eamon Daiki looked at two people wearing the same team uniform, standing in front of him as New Light and Shadow. A new light appears next to Ja. Thinking of this, as if he suddenly woke up from the excitement of finally having an equal opponent a few days ago, he suddenly noticed something else. When he stood in the audience and looked at the two people who showed a tacit understanding on the basketball court, his heart suddenly skipped a beat. An overwhelming sense of suffocation came over me. At the same time, encountered the shadow of destiny. Real light. Qingfeng Dahue moved the corners of his mouth, but he couldn't bring out a relieved smile, and he couldn't ignore the bitter feeling of loss in his heart. 能打败我的人只有我自己. Now that I think about it, I am such a fucking bastard for saying this. Eamon Daiki lowered his head and looked at his left hand. His fingers curled up, clenched into a fist, and then loosened as if powerless. At that time, facing as who reached out his hand, the first person to turn around and walk away was himself. Perhaps, during the time when he was just immersed in his own loss, something very important and precious had slipped out of his hands unknowingly. Now as 8 years later, Japan, Narita International Airport. Hey, have you had enough? Really? TSK, it's troublesome to go out with you. We're about to get on the plane. Are you done yet? Hey, Mira Sakibara, are you listening to me? Well, Your Majesty, don't yell like that in public. You are somewhat conscious of being a celebrity, okay? And we've known each other for so many years. Haven't you gotten used to more Asakako style? Momoi Satsuki waved his hand and greeted them with a smile. Yuan Cheng said, but Zijuan is the same? You must be careful. You can't run alone to buy snacks without saying anything again, you know? You also got lost again, making us look for you for a long time. You should also think about what to do if you can't catch the plane. Atsushi Murasakihara tore open the bag with an innocent face, put a potato chip in his mouth and made a crunching sound, then tilted his head and said, Can I sit on the next flight? 24-year-old Eamon Daiki originally felt that he had matured a lot as an adult, and his temper had improved many times compared to before. However, when facing Murasakihara Atsushi, a guy who was obviously the same age as him but was still willful and unrepentant, he couldn't help but burst out his veins. Itsuki, why don't you say nice things to this guy? Look at his face. Doesn't he look like he's showing any signs of introspection? Damn it! I really don't want to care about this guy who talks but refuses to listen and always challenges the bottom line of my tolerance. Hey, bastard Murasakibara, listen to me, he said, clenching his fists. Eamon Daiki glared at his middle school teammate. We have already agreed with them on the arrival time of the flight. If you are really late and take the next flight like you said, do you want Azahaku, who is coming to pick up the plane, to come over? Well, the 2.08-meter tall purple young man licked his fingers childishly. Although he was tall, there was nothing unnatural about such a childish action. He tilted his head and thought for a moment nodded and said, Yeah, that's right. That's right. For Heizai's sake, it's my fault. I won't run around again before I get on the plane. The ones I just bought are enough to eat anyway. And Shizai also told me that I can ask the flight attendant for snacks. What do you mean? Even if it's your fault in the first place. Admit it honestly and apologize humbly, you bastard. Looking at Murasakihara Atsushi's undisciplined look, Eamon Daiki yelled at him again with an unhappy look on his face. Okay. Your Majesty, Zijuan is already reflecting, isn't he? Just stop arguing. Momoi Satsuki tried to persuade her again, but she felt somewhat happy in her heart. Such a noisy scene is like going back to middle school. Thinking that these people could get back together this time, she felt happy for them from the bottom of her heart. It's great to be able to sign a contract with the Los Angeles team smoothly. I can play with Jejuan again after so many years. But isn't Dajuan a little too excited? That's why he can't stop and quarrels with Jejuan like a child. Although he was teased by his childhood sweetheart, he didn't care about anything when he mentioned it. Eamon Daiki's face suddenly became bright and sunny, and he laughed and admitted frankly, You saw it, May. I don't have anywhere to vent my energy now. The place I'm going to this time is a gathering of basketball masters from all over the world. An opponent of this level. It should be difficult to defeat, right? It makes me tremble with excitement just thinking about it. But, well, as long as Az and I join forces, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. We will definitely win, ha ha ha. Seeing Eamon Daiki with his hands on his hips and laughing excitedly, Murasakihira Atsushi, who had been silently enjoying himself eating snacks, suddenly said at this moment, I can play in the same team with Heizai again, and I am also very happy. Heizai is indeed the best. I won't lose either. Hearing this, Eamon Daiki immediately suppressed the smile on his face, suddenly turned around and glared at the purple young man who was a few steps away from him, lowered his voice, and stressed every word. But this time, the only person who can partner with Az and stand in the position beside Az is me. I am the original and strongest light that belongs to Az. After hearing Eamon Daiki's declaration, Murasakihira Atsushi's half-open eyes suddenly opened as if he was not awake, and a sharp light flashed through his pupils. Alala! Fongzai looks very confident. Licking his lips, Murasakihira Atsushi raised the corners of his mouth in a very pleasant but meaningful way. His eyes met with Eamon Daiki in the air for a moment, and then he lowered his head to eat his snacks as if nothing had happened. However, the lingering words made Eamon Daiki's face instantly look ugly. But Fungzi alone doesn't have the final say on the outcome. Momoi Satsuki, who was standing beside them and saw the turbulent confrontation between the two people, looked at this and that, whether it was Zijuan who turned back to a lackadaisical look and ate snacks with a pair of dead fish eyes, or whether it was Dajuan who said "tisk" and then turned away to look to the side and didn't know what he was thinking. It was really full of gunpowder. She opened her mouth slightly, thought for a while, but still didn't make a sound. Shaking her head gently and looking out the window at the endless clear sky through the glass wall, Satsuki Momoi pursed her lips and laughed silently. Whether it's Dajuan, Zijuan, or a few other people chasing them to the United States, no matter this time, after so many years, what will be the outcome after these people reunite? As long as Jejuan and everyone can be happy. The bright sunshine reflected the gentle, smiling face, and the woman with beautiful cherry blossom hair silently made a wish in her heart. To Preface 01. I am Heizai, the fastest update to the latest chapter of Black Basket, the distance between light and shadow, all Heizai. 01. I am Heizai. Cherry blossoms dance and fall. Thousands of thoughts are swaying in my heart. It's all about missing you. The wish I made with you that spring. That dream came to my mind again. Cherry blossoms are dancing and scattered. Big Sakura. The basketball club of Taika Middle School has over 100 members and is a well-known school that has won 3 consecutive championships in the National League. In its glorious history, there is an undefeated army known as the Strongest. A rare generation of geniuses in 10 years, 5 people gathered together at the same time, is called the Generation of Miracles. However, there is another wonderful rumor about Generation of Miracles, although it is unknown and there is no competition record. Despite this, there is a player that even the 5 geniuses have to look at differently. That is the Phantom 6th person. It's very rare that I woke up before the alarm clock rang. After rubbing his still sore eyes, the aqua blue boy climbed out of bed. He sat on the edge of the bed and stared blankly for a while with his eyes unfocused. Then he scratched his sleeping head, put on his slippers, and walked toward the bathroom. After washing up, I returned to the room, finally feeling much more awake than when I first woke up. He reached for the brand new uniform hanging on the closet door and glanced at the dark-colored coat. A subtle sense of dissonance made him involuntarily stunned for a moment. He felt so empty in his heart that he didn't know what it felt like. He stared blankly at the brand new uniform coat for a long time before coming back to his senses. He pursed his lips and silently put on his clothes. Yes. Looking at myself in the mirror, The dark black stand-up collared jacket on her body seemed to make her face look even paler because she hadn't slept well. While combing his messy hair with a comb, Heise Tetsuya thought expressionlessly that it was different from before, whether it was a uniform or something else. I have completely said goodbye to everything in the Taiko era, and I am now a high school student. It was a bright spring day in early April. The cherry blossoms on both sides of the road were in full bloom on the branches, and the light-colored petals with a faint fragrance were flying in succession, forming a dreamlike and beautiful picture. As a new school that was just established last year, the building of the high school where Tetsuya Kuroko attended was very neat and beautiful. On the brand new door, the large characters of Siren Private High School shone in the soft light of the morning sun. The campus was very lively at this time. Early in the morning, the road from the school's main entrance to the teaching building was crowded with people. There were various colorful slogans, advertising flyers, unique cartoon posters, fancy banners, and the loudly shouting seniors tried their best to recruit more outstanding talents for their clubs. The whole scene was in full swing, and the atmosphere was as happy and noisy as a festival. How's it going? Are you interested in rugby? As a Japanese, you still have to choose to play baseball, right? Classmate, have you ever played shogi? Swimming. It feels good. The baseball club's official jersey, ball, cap, and bat, although fully equipped, are too ordinary to attract attention at all. Manga Research Club's various cosplays with different styles are quite popular. The beautiful girls in bikinis from the swimming club, with their fair and soft skin and beautiful F-cup exposed in the spring breeze, almost blinded the eyes of the boys coming and going. The drama department generously sent a team of handsome men and beauties to pose in various poses wearing gorgeous Rococo-style costumes, and generously allowed the surrounding students to enjoy free eye care. There were also people from the light music section playing drums and guitars on the spot, and they opened a small live directly on the roadside, and the atmosphere was at its peak. This is the scene when major clubs recruit new students when school starts in April every year. The competition is fierce, especially for Siren, a newly opened school that only has first and second grade students. The student pool is limited, so such an exaggerated scene can be regarded as having a reason. Kuroko Tetsuya held a book in one hand that he used to pass time on the bus. While scanning the text on the page, he moved forward without stopping in the bustling crowd as if there was no one else there. He was so different from the two boys not far ahead who were stuck in the sea of people and couldn't move forward and shouted helplessly to the sky. "There's no way to go forward. Bring me a snowplow, hey." He gritted his teeth and clenched his fist. It's been 10 minutes since the beginning, and we haven't gone 5 meters yet. A frustrated inner cow. At the same time, we have to face the enthusiastic and creative new tricks from the seniors on both sides of the road. It's so embarrassing that people don't know how to refuse, sigh. However, Kuroko Tetsuya was not at all troubled and passed by them unhurriedly, passing through the crowd as smoothly as if he were in a deserted place. The strange thing is that the eyes of so many old students around are green, and they want to recruit another new student to their club, but no one has tried to stop Heise, as if they didn't see him. Soon I walked to the publicity board, and a large guide map introducing the club's booth was posted on it. Thinking that it was almost a week since school started, and the deadline for club recruitment was almost over, Heise paused, turned his head, and glanced up there. "Then write your name and student number here." In front of the basketball club's booth, a senior in a long-sleeved skirt uniform was giving instructions on how to fill out the club's application for the boy sitting opposite her. "There is also the high school where you graduated and your motivation. You can fill it in freely there. You can write it anywhere you want." Watching the freshman in high school, who was the same as himself, finish filling out the form and leave, Kuroko Tetsuya, who had been waiting for a while, took a step forward. "Ni hao. 排除声音." Well, 1, 2, that was the 10th one just now. I want to recruit a few more people. However, the girl seemed to be immersed in her own thoughts, muttering to herself and not paying attention to him at all. Kuroko Tetsuya sighed softly. "Forget it. Everything has a good side and a bad side. This situation of being ignored happens to him from time to time, and there is nothing to worry about. With this in mind, Kuroko Tetsuya simply reached out and pulled out a sheet from the stack of blank forms on the table, and then took out a pen from his school bag. At this moment, a voice rang. "I brought new life." Kuroko Tetsuya subconsciously raised his head and looked up, and a slightly happy face with tears of seaweed came into his sight. "Looks like a senior from the basketball club." A certain handsome face, who often showed a very similar expression to the senior in front of him, could not help but appear in his mind. But for just a moment, a large shadow suddenly cast above his head diverted Kuroko Tetsuya's attention. "Is the basketball club here?" It was a very direct question, and no honorifics were used. Kuroko raised his head slightly to see his face clearly. Her short, fiery red hair looked very flamboyant, and she wore a necklace with a ring on a silver chain around her neck.
我想加入篮球部.
The person who came had a tall figure and seemed to have a strong body that had undergone extensive exercise. The senior student in front of the booth immediately lit up. "I think you should know that Siren is a new school established last year, so